Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. And I apologize ahead of time for the bad lighting. The day's gotten away from me. So I'm working in the garage. You know, it's been pretty rainy, so. But today, project I'm really excited for. I'm going to finally get some rear illumination. Now, the factory reverse lights, you know, built into your taillights, they're actually not bad. As far as the reverse light goes for that the Jeep comes with. But when you're trying to hook back in and hook up a trailer in the dark, when you're off-road and you're trying to, and you're in a situation where you need to reverse to turn around, or you know, people that, you know, get to go camping and, you know, I guess the term is overlanding has kind of became the thing. Just having lights all the ways around your vehicle is really handy. Be real handy as far as, you know, working at night. You're able to take, you know, have that illumination to work around the back of the vehicle. So what I've done is I have two of these axial 6 LED flood beams, and I've bought a whole bag of goodies to do this with. Just little odds and ends pieces that you will need to achieve this. Now, there are several configurations that you could choose if you're running auxiliary reverse lights. You could you know, one obvious way would be to wire these into the factory reverse light circuit so that when you put it in reverse, these will come on. That's not a bad option. I actually had a 90 model F-250 that I had rigged up that way, and it was really nice. The thing is, though, is that you have to be in gear with the key on, you know, before it will illuminate. You don't have that toggle switch. You can do it the way that I'm doing it, and that I'm going to wire these on a toggle switch. That way I put the Jeep in reverse, my regular ones come on, I decide I need the extra light, it's as simple as flip a switch. Now you can get real fancy and set up a 3-position switch, so that way you have the option of, you know, toggle switch to turn them on manually, or when you take and you put the vehicle in reverse, they'll come on. So there's several different ways you could wire this up. I'm showing you the way that I want them wired, as far as, you know, what's going to suit my needs. So I guess my first step will be to go get me a Phillips head screwdriver and take my lens off. That way I can start marking, and I plan on mounting them straight to the OEM tail light in this manner. So basically I'm just going to take this off, mark where my light's going to go, and then start drilling and wiring. So I'll be back here shortly, and we'll see when we're ready to start drilling. Okay, so you have 4 screws, which this one was missing one, but you take those 4 screws out, and then the whole assembly will pull out just like this. You'll have this little trim piece that goes to the side here, so you can just set that off to the side. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and basically just kind of unplug everything. So it literally just twists and then pops loose. So and then we have our connectors. Just push in on those. Yeah. And the other one came off easy. Goes. So let's just push in. Then this connector here is on the Christmas tree. It should just oh, it's really helping that this lens is coming off. So we'll have to pop that Christmas. There it goes. So now we have our taillight out to where we can work on it. Which actually, I want to go ahead and pop this loose. That way we're not going to damage a bulb or anything. There it goes. So we'll go ahead and take that loose, and we'll just slide our plug-in back together so we can have that done. There we go. So now we'll mark and test fit these. Okay, so after a little bit of marking up and checking and playing with our design, let me show you what I finally came up with. So I got my position marked where I wanted it. Now this is and I've got my mount bracket affixed to my tail light, and basically what I ended up doing, due to the way that the tail light is designed, rotator. As you can see, I have my bolt that was applied, a nut that I found, the bracket through the taillight housing, and then a nut on the underside. I've only drilled into this top section, and I've avoided drilling into here, so I won't have any issues with water and all that getting into my light. But my bolt being too long, my choice, I basically took and ran it down, and I ran the opposing bolts against each other to tighten up my assembly. I have enough room for on top for that to be up, and it's not going to hurt anything. My other option would be to find a shorter bolt, but that's basically what we've came up with to get it mounted. I've got it tightened down, so now the only thing left to do will be to get my light mounted back onto my bracket, and then start putting this back on the Jeep. Okay, we're back. I went ahead and mounted up both sides just so I could kind of get an idea on how I wanted to mount it. The first one took way longer because of figuring out the intricacies of exactly how I wanted everything to mount. But once I got that figured out, it was much, much quicker doing the second side. So we'll throw, that bad lighting. Again, I apologize in advance for the terrible lighting out here. So you can see it's just on top of our tail light, and then this one here is mounted in the same way. So now that we have our lights mounted, and I've got my tail lights just kind of sitting in place, so that way I can still pull them out to run my wiring. Now what I want to do is I want to start running my wires, and basically what I'm going to do with it is I will take and start on one side, and that will be my terminal end. I will run my wires from, I'm thinking I'm wanting to run from the passenger side to the driver's side. So I'll basically wire them up in parallel, so that way if one of them was to quit working, the other one would still work. But I'm basically just take and run my hot and my ground from this side over to where you at? There it is, this side. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, folks. So I've got my wire ran. I ran behind the tail light, down and across the Jeep. So we're in the process of connecting our wires and getting everything set up. So basically there's a couple different ways of doing this. Not really a right or wrong way. There's good, better, best. But as long as you wire things correctly, there's not really a technically wrong way, just good, better, best as far as I'm concerned. Of course, the quick, dirty, cheap way would just be to take my wires, strip them down, wire them directly together, and go over them with a good wrap of electrical tape. I've done that before, and it works good for a while. That'll certainly do you for a while. That's good for temporary wiring, things of that nature. As far as putting wiring your stuff together, making sure it's and testing it, making sure it's going to work. Maybe you don't want to fully commit to having that specific light set up, and you just want to run it for a while to test it. The better option is what I'm doing, which is crimp connections. Now, crimp connections are a little more permanent. They tend to make a little better contact. They tend to last longer. As far as connector life without issues, just make sure you get a good crimp. Make sure your connectors are the proper size for the wire you're working with. And then of course the last would be to solder. Soldering is not really that much more expensive. It's not really difficult to solder wires. I've played with solder just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And I didn't find soldering to be extremely difficult or anything like that. But it does take more time to do it and do it right and all that stuff. So now we have that. Then so we have our light wired. So we can go ahead and start putting our taillight back into place. And getting our lights ran the way that we want them to be ran. So what I'm going to do is that the way that this is going, right here in this trim piece, I'm just going to take and make me a notch for that wire to run down into that trim piece there. Because I want my wire to run back and down behind my tail light. Actually, I could probably just notch out right here too. Or I could probably just notch right there. So, we'll get our drill and we'll put it as a notch. I think I can do it with my drill. Right where we want that wire to go. Okay. You can take we'll just take the pocket knife and kind of clean it up. Now we need to take just that edge off of that and we are good to go. Okay folks, so I know it's hard to see with the light as dark as it is, but that's one side done. So now we just need to wire in our this side here, and then we'll run our power and ground to the front of the Jeep. Okay folks, so here's a quick explanation of how I'm getting my power to my lights. Is that when I have white and brown, brown being my power or black wire, white I'm using as my red wire. So I'm taking this one here is going to run to the front of the Jeep to my power. This is my jumper that runs from this light to the other side. And so what I've done is where all three wires connect, I've wired white to white to red, and then brown to brown to black on this side. So it will feed power to both lights, and even if this light was to go out, it would still feed full current to my other side. So I've got this ran back down. So now what's left to do would be to fit my taillight back to the Jeep, clearance for my power wire, so that it will, so that my taillight will sit correctly and flush. I think my light's about to die on me. And then we'll run our power wire to the front, and we'll get everything hooked up, and then we'll be ready to test. Okay folks, so we've made it to the home stretch. I have routed my wire from the back of the Jeep up to the front, and I have brought it out up here next to the driver's side. I've already got my power wire for my switch, so the only thing left to do will be to wire it into the battery. Now what I've done is I went down to the auto parts store, and I bought a relay. This is RS440. It's for 4 and 5 wire setups, and then your actual relay is RL44. Your RS40 accepts the RL44 and RL45, so but you do have to buy them separate. On the back of your wiring harness, or your you have your on the back of your relay hold block, you have your wiring diagram. So we basically just wire it up the way that it says, and find us a nice spot over here to mount it up, and we should be ready to test out our new backup lights. We'll see in just a little bit. Okay, so I know it looks a little bit like spaghetti, but we got everything wired in per our instructions. We've got our wires ran across the back of the motor. We went ahead and zip tied everything up out of the way. So for our backup lights, it will be our top switch, and as you can see, they illuminate pretty darn well. I'm going to play with them a little bit. I may adjust them down a tick to try to get more of the ground directly behind me, but I think I'm very happy with this, because that is a lot of light, a lot more than just your little backup light show. And it's not going to do nothing for the glare. Let's go turn them back off right quick then. And the way that they're mounted, if the camera will focus, there we go. And as you can see, the way that I have them mounted, I'm very happy with that. I think it's a very clean look. So, like I said, I may play with the adjustment as far as aiming up and down, but I think I'm pretty well happy with that. So, the only thing left to do is, of course, pick up our mess, shut the hood down, and roll the Jeep on out of the garage. So I know I didn't do too good of an install video on it due to trying to film and work at the same time with it. I want to say thank you to everyone that has stayed with me this long. If you enjoyed it, or you like the idea of really nice auxiliary backup lights, hit the like button. If you want to see more of my stuff, feel free to subscribe so you can find me again. And I guess that should wrap it up for this one. See y'all later.